We always see people online asking, what's the best Rolex Submariner? And honestly, it's a fair question because Rolex has made so many variations that look similar at first glance, but feel completely different once you wear them. Some are slimmer, some feel a little bulkier, some are low-key, and some absolutely stand out. So today we're ranking 6 of the most talked about submariners based on real-world experience, how they actually wear, what makes each one special, and why certain models just make more sense than others. No hype, no resale talk, just how these watches perform in everyday life. Before we jump in, here's the quick context. The Submariner dates back to the 1950s as a pure dive tool. Simple, legible, tough. Over the decades, Rolex refined it, making improvements to the case, bezel, movement, and finishing, while keeping that clean, recognizable silhouette. And that's why comparing references is interesting. They all look related, but the details really affect how each one feels on the wrist. Let's get into the ranking. Kicking off the list at number 6 is the Rolex Submariner date Bluesy 126613LB. And the fact that it's even on the list says a lot because among all the Submariners, this one stands out the most. It's the least traditional in terms of that classic tool watch vibe. But that's also what makes it such a memorable piece. The blue sunburst dial is really the star here. It's one of those dials that shifts depending on the light, bright and vibrant outdoors, deeper and more subtle indoors. Paired with the gold accents and the two-tone bracelet, it gives the watch a richness that you just don't get from the standard steel models you put it on, and it immediately feels elevated. And here's something most people notice once they spend time with it. The Bluesy has its own lane in the Submariner lineup. It's not trying to be the everyday black dial sub. It's for someone who wants a sub that feels a bit more expressive, a bit more dressed, without being over the top. Rolex keeping this color combination in the lineup for decades shows how consistently strong the design has been. Very few Rolex colorways have stayed this long. It sits at number 6 mainly because of versatility. It looks incredible with the right outfit, and it definitely stands out, but it's not the watch that blends into every situation. If you're looking for a sub you can wear with anything, this isn't the easiest match. But if you want a Submariner that feels different from the usual steel and black formula and gives you something truly distinctive on the wrist, the Bluesy is a great choice. Coming in at number 5 is the Rolex Submariner date 16610, and this is one of those subs that earns its spot simply because of how important it is in the lineup. With so many Submariners out there, the 16610 stands out for being that perfect bridge between the vintage era and the modern ceramic models. It's the sub a lot of people picture when they think classic Rolex, and it still holds up incredibly well today. What makes the 16610 special is the balance it strikes. The case is slimmer, the watch is lighter, and the proportions feel a bit more understated compared to the newer, chunkier generations. On the wrist, it just disappears in the best way. Comfortable, low-key, and easy to wear all day without feeling bulky. The aluminum bezel is a big part of that older charm. It scratches, it can fade, it ages with you, and many collectors actually like that because no two 16610s end up looking exactly the same. Another thing collectors appreciate is that this model ran for almost 2 decades, which means Rolex perfected the formula throughout its production. The movements were stable, reliable, and easy to service, and parts are still widely available. It's also one of the last Submariners to have that more rattly, old-school bracelet and clasp, which some people surprisingly prefer because it feels lighter and more relaxed on the wrist. It lands at number 5 mostly because it doesn't have the durability of the ceramic bezel, the newer bracelets, or the movement upgrades found in the modern subs. It's a fantastic everyday watch, but it doesn't quite match the refinement of the newer references. Still, if you want a sub that captures that classic Rolex DNA while staying approachable and comfortable, the 16610 is one of the best places to start. Sliding into the number 4 spot is the Rolex Submariner Hulk 116610LV. And honestly, with how many Submariners exist, the Hulk earns its place because it brought something completely new to the lineup. When it came out, Rolex doesn't usually take big risks with color, and the Hulk was one of the few times they really went for it. That full green look, the sunburst dial, and the matching ceramic bezel instantly set it apart. One thing people don't realize until they wear it is how dynamic the dial is. It's not just green. In bright light, it explodes with this vivid emerald tone, and indoors it can look almost black. It has way more range than the pictures ever show. That play in color is a big part of why collectors got attached to it. And because Rolex rarely does sunburst dials paired with ceramic, this combo feels unique in the entire Submariner family. The case design is also a big part of its identity. The Hulk uses the super case, which means chunkier lugs, a broader stance on the wrist, and overall more presence. Some people love that thicker look. Others prefer the slimmer curves of the newer references, but there's no denying the Hulk feels solid and substantial when you put it on. It lands at number 4 because, as much fun as it is, it's not the most versatile Submariner. You have to be someone who really likes green, because it's not a color that fades into the background. And the Super Case, while iconic, isn't everyone's favorite for long-term comfort. But in terms of personality, collectability, and pure wrist presence, the Hulk is in a league of its own. It's a watch that leaves a strong impression every time you wear it, which is a big part of why it ranks quite high. Coming in at number 3 is the Submariner 126610LV, better known as the Starbucks. And the reason it ranks this high, especially with so many Submariners out there, is because it hits a really sweet balance between personality and everyday wearability. It still carries that green bezel DNA that made the Hulk famous, but the black dial instantly makes it easier to pair with pretty much anything. What sets the Starbucks apart is how refined it feels compared to its predecessor. Rolex moved away from the chunkier Super Case and brought back slimmer, more traditional proportions. On the wrist, that difference is huge. The watch sits flatter, looks more streamlined, and has that classic sub-silhouette people missed. It feels like Rolex took the lessons from the 116610 era and fine-tuned everything. The green bezel is also more subtle than the Hulk's full green look. It still pops in the light, but it doesn't dominate your whole outfit. You get a bit of color, a bit of fun, without committing to a loud, all-green dial. That combination, green bezel, black dial, is something collectors warmed up to quickly, because it scratches the itch for something unique, while still being practical for everyday wear. The updated movement is another quiet win. The improved power reserve, efficiency upgrades, and overall smoothness make it one of those watches you don't have to think about. You can set it, wear it, forget it. It keeps up. It earns the number 3 spot because it manages to be special without crossing into too much. It's distinctive, but still an easy daily. If you want a Submariner with personality but don't want something that steals the whole show, the Starbucks is the perfect middle ground. Taking the number 2 spot is the Rolex Submariner 116610LN. And this one earns its place because it became the modern Submariner for an entire generation of collectors. If someone says Rolex Sub, this is probably the watch they're picturing. It defined the ceramic era look and set the standard for what a tough, reliable, everyday dive watch should feel like. The ceramic bezel was a huge upgrade, scratch resistant, glossy, crisp in the light, and it instantly made the watch feel more premium. The Super Case gave it broader lugs and a more squared-off shape, creating a chunkier wrist presence than earlier models. Some people prefer slimmer profiles, but the Super Case gave the watch a bold, contemporary feel that a lot of owners still love. Then there's the bracelet and clasp. This was the era when Rolex finally left behind the older stamped clasps and went into full, solid link, solid feel territory. The glide lock adjustment system is one of Rolex's best features. It makes micro adjustments effortless, and once you've used it, everything else feels dated. The movement is rock solid, the finishing stepped up, and the overall build is exactly what people expect from Rolex. Tight tolerances, crisp clicks, and a tank-like feel. It lands at number 2 because the proportions aren't as refined as the latest generation, but that doesn't take away from how important this model is. It's the watch that brought the Submariner fully into the modern era, and for many collectors, it's still the perfect mix of rugged and refined. Taking the number 1 spot is the Rolex Submariner date 126610LN. And this really comes down to how completely balanced this model is. With so many Submariners to choose from, this is the one that feels like the most refined version of what a modern sub should be. It doesn't rely on rare colors or special editions. It's simply the cleanest, most practical, most wearable Submariner in the lineup. The case is a standout improvement. Rolex moved away from the wider Super Case and brought back slimmer, more traditional proportions. Even though it measures 41 millimeters, it wears better than many of the older 40 millimeter references because the lugs taper more naturally on the wrist. It feels balanced, solid without being bulky, substantial without feeling blocky. The movement upgrades push it ahead as well. With the longer power reserve and improved efficiency, you get a movement that's noticeably more modern in everyday use. You can set it down for a couple days and it's still running. It's the kind of watch you don't have to think about. Just put it on and go. The black dial and black ceramic bezel keep things simple and classic. It works with anything you wear, casual, business, formal, and it never feels like it's trying too hard. It earns the number 1 spot because it feels like the complete Submariner package. It has the history, the practicality, the comfort, the modern upgrades, and that timeless Rolex look. It's the Submariner that will still make perfect sense 20 years from now. So that's the full ranking. And honestly, you really can't go wrong. Each of these Submariners brings something different to the table. If you want subtle and classic, the black dial models are the way to go. If you want personality, green or blue gives you that extra splash of character. The best sub for you is the one that actually fits your style, not just the hype. If you want to go deeper on any of these, we have individual tour videos for each model right here on the channel, so definitely check those out if one of them caught your eye. And if you're into this kind of content, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.